There's something that you're going for in when you're having these different styles collide against each other. Could you try and describe what that is?
No. What I am trying to do is I'm actually trying to change styles less. I do find that sometimes it can be jarring. I think it should be a device used to achieve the effect of heightening the energy,
Okay.
the zone, the trance, the colors.
Oh, that's clear. Because it's the thing of it wakes you. It has a feeling of waking you up.
Exactly. But I have had people have criticized me where it's too much. So I'm starting to listen to that. I do actually want sections to go on longer now.
Okay.
Or actually mix it up, because sometimes that is very effective. But again, too much of the same thing, too much of like one groove for like 10 minutes, you know.
Sure. But it does seem something very original about the way you're composing these tunes, in terms of what you're trying to. But it has to do with really keeping everybody awake and creating kind of a.
I it's an intuitive thing.
Okay.
I really like late Impressionists and German Expressionist painters. I like Matisse, Picasso, Van Gogh. Those colors really
Very bright and strong.
Yeah, Jackson Pollock, and I just love going to museums. And sometimes I'll go to the same museum, see the same picture, and I hear music. It's not like a direct chemical reaction, but it's inspiring. And I try and put these colors into my music, and I'm trying to. I really love Turkish, Indian, Bulgarian, Chinese inflections. These melodies, they're so beautiful. They're spiritual. But if I could briefly say,
Sure.
at the intersection of these new grooves, these Eastern kind of simple melodies, or at least my melodies inflected in a Eastern style, microtonal harmony.
Right.
Putting those things together and drenching it with heavy grooves and a heavy dose of blues. I want it to come from here, and I don't hear anyone. That's the place I want to go.
Can you define just for the listener what microtonality is?
Microtonality. Well, our Western system is 12 notes per octave.
Right.
And it's equal tempered. Each note is equidistant. So, for example, for some Arabic melodies, they use quarter tones. They use notes that are smaller. At the same time, when you hear a blues player that moves you, the way that guitar player bends those notes, it's in spots that are outside of the tonal system. And you can get completely new melodies and harmonies from, and there's so many different systems. We're in 12 tone. I have a quarter tone guitar, which is 24 tone, 24 notes per octave. A lot of people work in 19, 31, 36. The Turkish system is 53. The Greek system is 72 notes per octave. They don't use all those notes at the same time, but it's a finer grid.
Right.
And it's not always smaller notes. It could be larger leaps, but they don't fall within the 12-tone system. And one is not better than the other, but there are a lot of new flavors that you can do that are, I find them really, really beautiful. I'm really tuning into Julian Carrillo, a Mexican composer, Alois Haba, a Czech composer, Harry Parch, stuff that's been laying around for 60, 80, maybe even 100 years, and improvisers haven't really picked up on that yet. Some classical composers, but I see tremendous opportunities for experimental pop, jazz, groove, it's boundless. People say, oh, you know, everything's been done. I feel like Captain Kirk, you know.
You mentioned about harmonizing microtones yesterday. You were talking about what, because that was...
Well, if you take, for example, well, not all Arabic music is in quarter tones, but you can kind of start there. What we often do in the West is we'll take a mode and we stack it. Oh, these are the harmonic possibilities. Right. They don't do that with Indian, Turkish, Chinese music. It's modal. Right. It's maybe there's some polyphony, but there's not like you know, one chord.
This way, so vertical.
I'm very much that's kind of a no-no. And it's tough because I mean,
Eastern music is a no-no.
Or they just yeah, they don't. Well, they don't. But it's also it's tough. It's very out of tune. It can be harsh on the ear. But as we've seen with Western composers, if it's done right, it can be very beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, Schoenberg was a shock to people.
Right.
The opening sequence of Richard Wagner's Tristan and Isolde, that opera, he completely obliterated functional harmony. Debussy started taking chords, and he thought, oh, I like this chord and I like that chord. It kind of turned into non-functional color chords. Realized that there was a time when, the opening chords of Beethoven's Third Symphony, the Eroica, were two unresolved seventh chords. People were appalled. That was unheard of. That, you know, Beethoven, look what he's done now, the audacity, you know, not only one, but two, you know, unresolved seventh chords. Any blues these days starts with that. That's completely normal for us. So I'm very excited about, you know, taking some of these 43 note per octave parch harmonies. I'm having guitars built where it sounds great to me. I want to jam out. And that's where I would like to go.
It's going to change music just because the reference points, because you want to work with kind of the sounds like the rhythmic structures that are already here and are developing, and add a whole new harmonic context that'll make anything possible, even for a pop context. Which sounds
absolutely.
We'll have to open everything up. I mean, it has to. It's not like something's going to be released. It's just been going around and around and around.
Well, not only that. At Berkeley, I can tap into all these new styles. I get that from students. As a matter of fact, I turn it into a homework assignment. I ask them to write something in a current style that they enjoy, and even just write me a short phrase, and then write it again with a different mode they've never used, and then try and take that and put it in an odd time phrase. So it's a mutual learning experience for myself and the students.
Right, where you're forcing them to get into the future.
And as soon as possible, I want to try and use that with Eastern music and these microtonal modes. So I'm going to try and infect them right from the get-go.